All right. What is up? Welcome to the Violet Fog as I Know It podcast. This is always just going to be super conversational. As you know, I am very ADD, so we're just going to jump around from subject to subject because that's basically the only way that my brain works, and I feel like it makes it a whole lot more entertaining that way. Today, in this podcast, which by the way, we are on the How Do You Health Network, the best podcast network, if you ask me. We are going to be talking about energy supporters, things that you can do to help boost your energy. Okay, I always need to say this. This is not medical advice. I am not a doctor. I am just a nerd who loves to research. I love to share my experiences. So, this is going to be kind of like a compilation of studies that I've seen, things that I've learned from experts, and just my own experiences in general. So when it comes to these little energy boosters, and I really think that I just hope that you're kind of like looking at this as just little tips. Maybe you can make notes in your phone or on a paper, pen and paper, and just kind of cherry pick like what really works for you. Really listen to your intuition here of what could work and what maybe won't work for you. These are going to be a combination of physical, mental, and nutritional tips. I'm just going to hop right into it. And again, I'm going to be bouncing around. It's not like I'm going to do one category and then another. We're just going to keep it fun, super conversational here. All right. So, just a little background. If you are someone who you really need a whole lot more energy and you're thinking, like, I'm never going to be one of those people that's super energetic, I just don't want you to think that way. Coming from my own experience, so my 20s, I was so run down with no energy. I was not an energetic girl in my 20s. And that's a time when, your mitochondria is still kicking out ATP like no other. Maybe your adrenals aren't fully taxed yet. Like you should have a lot of energy. And I really did not then. I got to a point where I was sleeping 16 hours a day. I had massive gut issues from years and years and years, a whole lifetime of antibiotics. It was just awful. And that's a story for a whole nother time. But I can proudly say, like, I am the most energetic I have ever been. So if you think that you can't turn it around, trust me, you can turn it around. It's just little tweaks here and there, they can really make a difference. And even now, like, I mean, I'm pretty open about my journey. Like I'm battling a tumor right now on my pituitary gland on my brain, and I'm still feeling super energetic. So I don't care like what you're going through. I promise you, you can find some energy. Just, you got it. Like, again, it's just going to come down to little tweaks here and there and mindset. All right. So first tip, eat a protein rich breakfast. My breakfast, like as much as I love a super carb heavy breakfast, I love me some waffles and pancakes. Like if I am in need of energy, like I just don't do it. I do a very, very protein rich breakfast. And the reason is because I want to get a lot of tyrosine in my body. Tyrosine, that's amino acids. You get these amino acids from protein. Tyrosine is a precursor to dopamine. Dopamine is that get up and go, that motivation, that reward feeling, and that gives you some energy, right? So you want to start your day off with a higher level of dopamine. There are studies that show when you have more tyrosine in your body, you have more higher levels of dopamine. And on the flip side, if you have lower levels of tyrosine, then you're going to have lower energy. So that's such a simple thing. Just eat a very protein rich breakfast and see how you do. So that is tip 1. Here's another thing that you can do, and this is just very, very random, but I've talked about this for years, is skin brushing or dry skin brushing. I have this little brush. It has these natural bristles on it. I don't get ones that are too firm. I've seen like some bloggers talk about like the firmer the better. That's not true. You really don't want to like mess up the barrier of your skin here, but skin brushing, it's where you kind of just make these long strokes up and down your body. This is something, of course, you'd want to Google, and because I'm not going to get into the very specifics of exactly how to do it. I do have a blog article on my site, but it helps get your lymph system going. Your lymph system, that it's not something that just goes on its own. You kind of need to stimulate it on your own, and that's one of the ways that you can do it. And I swear, when your lymph system is good, you have a lot more energy. So this is something that I do, and it really, when I do it, I feel a little buzziness. Like, and there's parts of your body where lymph nodes are a little bit more concentrated, and I will purposely go through those areas, and it feels so effing good. It immediately gives me some this energy jolt. So places that I will definitely do is the backs of my knees and my armpits, and it just feels so good. So I will dry skin brush and another thing to think about, like of these tips, what's cool is you're going to have a whole arsenal of tips to do, and maybe that tip doesn't work in that moment, but maybe another tip will. For instance, if I am at home tired and I'm in like a super cute outfit, I'm not going to take the tip of doing dry skin brushing in the moment because I don't want to, have to get undressed and do that. But if I'm in like sweats or something, then going to go do some dry brushing is going to be really easy for me. Another tip is putting ice on your skin. So again, if I have like a full face of makeup, I'm not going to do it then. But if it's a day where I'm barefaced, putting ice on your face, just that a play with temperature will totally rev you up. Just like getting in a ice cold shower, like that's another thing too. If you're showering and you can stand like 30 seconds to 2 minutes of ice cold, that temperature play with your body, that's what I like to call it, really does help with energy. So I'll do something like that. I'll take an ice cold shower. Or midday, again, if I'm bare face and I'm like, oh, I could use a little like zinger. I will go and I'll get some ice and I will put it over my face. That's also really nice for inflammation. But that is for sure something that you can do, and it does help. And here's the thing, I just think like when you do these things, you also need to be really present and be making that mind-body connection. Any body manipulation or body work that I do, I don't just kind of do it and not be present in my mind. Like I won't be working on my lymph system, putting ice on my face while I'm thinking about the next task that I have to do, or I'm thinking about what I'm going to make for dinner. In that moment, I am actively thinking about what I'm doing. I picture my cells revving up. And that is something that's just super helpful. Making that mind-body connection is really powerful. And if you're kind of always disconnected, well, you're doing yourself a disservice. Not saying that if you were disconnected, it won't do something for you. It still will. Just like I say with supplements, if you don't make that mind-body connection, it's still going to do something for you. But imagine making that mind-body connection, telling your body what's going to happen, what it's going to do, that you deserve this. It makes it so, so, so much better. Okay, another thing that's going to help your energy levels is if you're supporting your detox organs. Toxins are really heavy in the body, and you would be surprised how many of us are burdened by toxins. I mean, they're everywhere. It can be in your furniture, it can be in the air that you're breathing. I mean, it can be in your food, and it can build up, it can bioaccumulate. Don't ever be scared about it. Like your body is so capable of detoxing, but I do think that it's a good thing to help out your detox organs. I'm always thinking about my kidneys. I'm always thinking about my liver. And that is something that, when you start to really help your detox organs work more effectively and you start pushing out more of these toxins, trust me, your body's going to feel lighter. When your body feels lighter, you're going to have so much more energy. So I'm always doing things like I'm getting in the sauna, and I just stand however much I can. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I have to do 45 minutes. It's just whatever I can get done. And that to me is always good enough. It's about averages. It's about just, moving the needle a little bit whenever you can. So I'll do things like work in the sauna. I have Hashimoto's, and people with Hashimoto's, it's a really weird thing, but a lot of them will have a hard time detoxing. Or they'll have a very hard time sweating, rather. And so I know that it's a really good thing to be getting in the sauna and sweating a little bit more. So that's something that I do to support my detox organs. I also make sure that I drink enough water, and I hate drinking water. I just like don't like it. And I know that that's a tip that everyone uses for everything is hydration. It's going to help you in so many ways. And here's my trick to making yourself drink more water. You have to figure out what it is about drinking water is going to motivate you. So for some people, it's like, I know when I drink a ton of water, I have a really clear complexion. That might be your motivator. It's not my motivator, because I feel like what gives me even more of a clear complexion is the retinoids that I use on my skin. But I know that water still helps my complexion, but that's not my number one motivator. My number one motivator is that it really does help my kidneys, which is a detox organ. And I know that when I am helping my detox organs, it helps my energy level. So that is my motivator. For you, it might also be something like I realize when I drink more water, I'm not as bloated. So just figure out what your motivator is and be like, is it worth it to stay hydrated to get this result? And I think that that's what we just have to figure out in order to just drink more water, because I just won't drink more water for the sake of it. I have to have a reward. So supporting your detox organs, that is really going to help you with energy. Okay, another thing is supporting your mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. So you want to be kicking out ATP. That's energy. That's cellular energy. And there are a lot of things that you can do to support your mitochondria. One supplement that I take is called Mitochondriac. In fact, this entire episode is sponsored by MSW Nutrition, who makes the Mitochondriac. And I have talked about Mitochondriac for, I think, about probably a year and a half now. I've talked about resveratrol for a while. So Mitochondriac has resveratrol, trans-resveratrol, pterostilbene in it. There's very few things out there that really support your mitochondria. Yeah, CoQ10, alpha lipoic acid, those are two other things, but I truly believe resveratrol, trans-resveratrol, pterostilbene, heck yeah, like that is really, really going to support your mitochondria. So I take that, and I notice it really helps me with energy. And so I like to take it in the morning or afternoon. In fact, I find that the mitochondriac is so powerful that I really don't like to take it at night. You can take 1 to 2 depending on how you're feeling in the day, but I think it is incredible. It also helps with insulin resistance. So mitochondriac, MSW Nutrition, use my code VioletFog. And if you ever have questions, I'm an open book. You can DM me anytime. We're besties. Okay, so helping your mitochondria. There's an interesting study, and I haven't looked too much into this, and so I don't want you drawing conclusions from this. I just like to talk about things that I come across. So there are a few studies, one in particular that I saw that showed that too much fructose, which is fruit sugar, can impair mitochondria. Can impair your mitochondria. I'm not 100% certain on this, but it's very, very interesting to me to consider. One thing I'm going to start doing, and this is one thing that I hope that you take away of what little experiments can you do. So one thing I think I'm going to start doing is seeing how I feel over time when I do a little bit less fruit than more fruit. Because I go through phases where I love smoothies every single day. And then I go through phases where I don't have a ton of fruit. One thing I really haven't done is kind of paid attention to how do I feel. So it's an interesting study to see, but so see how you do with fruit, because that supposedly can impact your mitochondria. Okay, let's talk coffee, because I get this question all the time. What do I think of coffee? So I'm actually pro coffee. I really am. I think that there are studies that show that it can help dementia, it can help Alzheimer's. There's even been some studies that show that it can help your DNA. That is, of course, if you're drinking organic coffee. I also believe that sun-dried coffee is the best. I also believe that light roast tends to be better, but there are some studies that are a little bit, iffy on that, or they're actually it doesn't really matter. But here's the thing with coffee. I do think a big part of it comes down to genetics. Are your genetics ripe for getting a lot of caffeine or not? I really think there are some people that just don't have what I call the caffeine genes. And I did an epigenetics test, and she called it the caffeine genes. So now I call it the caffeine genes. Is if you don't have these caffeine genes, I just don't think it's worth it, to be drinking coffee or caffeine for that matter. If you do have the caffeine genes, then go for it. It doesn't mean that you need it. I have really strong caffeine genes. I mean, I grew up with a dad who could drink coffee at 9 o'clock at night and just go right to sleep. So I realize where I get that from. And so I do pretty good with coffee. So if you do well with coffee, awesome. That's great. Here's where I am not a fan of coffee. I am not a fan of coffee if you're drinking it and not doing something for your adrenals alongside. I really just think that is where so many people are missing the mark, is they are drinking coffee and they are not thinking about their adrenals. You have to care for your adrenals. You have to care for your HPA axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, adrenal system. I really think that adrenals are really tough to regenerate. It's not impossible. If anyone says once they're shot, they're gone, no. Heck no. It's so possible to regenerate them, but I think it's tough to do. You need to care for your adrenals, and coffee can be taxing on the adrenals. So I am pro coffee, but I'm not pro coffee without caring for your adrenals. And you can care for your adrenals in a variety of ways. Breath work, making sure you get enough B6. You can look into adaptogens. I launched the Violet Fog Potions blend with my fiance Dan, and the very first one that I came out with is one for adrenals. It was the exact thing that I've been doing for years to help support my adrenals. I will say, I still have a tumor on my pituitary gland from stress, so you have to be doing other stuff too, right? Alongside, I never worked on stress until now mentally. And that's another thing that we're going to get into. But I think adaptogens are wonderful for their adrenals. There's so little foods that have been shown to directly impact your adrenals, and adaptogens can be fantastic for that. Just go look at the studies. It's incredible. Ashwagandha, gelatinized Peruvian maca, especially if it's grown at a super high altitude in the Peruvian Andes. I think that can really, really help, especially over time. I'm also someone though that I like to take them for 3 to 6 months, and then I give myself a break, and then I take them again. But that is something that you can do. So I really think this, for more energy, if you're supporting your adrenals, you're going to be able to kick out more energy alongside. So just it's kind of counterintuitive, working on your calm helps your energy, but it really, really does. So consider that. Another thing that you can do, let's say you don't really do well with coffee, try cacao. Again, not to keep promoting the Violet Fog potions, but that's the base of our thing is cacao, Criollo cacao. Cacao is super high in antioxidants. Cacao is a known dopamine booster. In fact, I think it's so powerful that I don't even like taking cacao at night. I really think morning or afternoon is the very best time, but I think it's really wonderful for stamina. So definitely consider that, helping your adrenals. Again, with coffee, I am pro coffee. I just don't think do not go over more than 2 cups a day, ideally 1 cup a day or none. And if you're doing it, support your adrenals alongside. So speaking of adrenals, another tip for you is to try to be more calm with your emotions. And this is something that I cannot teach anyone how to do this because I am so actively working on this. It's something that, it's always been very hard for me. For whatever reason, I'm kind of a dramatic person. I really am. I'm a bit of a drama queen, and I don't like it about myself. It's not an attention thing because I actually hate when I have that gut reaction and it's so overt that people notice. I get really embarrassed about it. But that's just kind of how I am. And it used to be this kind of cutesy thing that I would joke around about, but it's not cute because when I spike like that, it really over time robs your energy. You want to be these calm waters all the time, no matter what is going on. And when you're just calm, 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 spike, calm, 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 spike, that spike, it takes a lot of energy out of your body. And I just think that we like to think that stress only affects us mentally. No, it affects you on a physical level. If you think that your stress is only affecting you mentally, you got to reframe that. You got to go look at the studies. You got to go look at biology. It is affecting your body. It's affecting you physically, which affects your energy. So I really do notice that when I am better about being calm and just telling myself, nope, Katey, you're not going to react like that. I notice that I do conserve more energy. It's little things that add up. So for me, what really helps me out is prayer, my belief in God. That is number one for me. It really is kind of a refuge, but I know not everyone is a believer. That's fine. Have some anchor for yourself that you can just find rest in, because I think that is so important. I think that caring for our emotions is actually a lot tougher than we think. We really do need to put work into it. That's one way that I put work into it. And another thing that I do that I've been doing is if I don't always get that warning that I'm about to spike. Sometimes it just happens and it's just whoa, where the hell did that come from? But if I can feel myself bubbling a bit, I just tell myself I can't react like that. I'll take almost a cleansing breath. It almost looks like I'm gasping for air for a second. I'll just be and I'll just tell myself, however I react, it's going to be slow. I'm not going to talk fast. I'm not going to raise my voice. And I'm starting to become a lot more proud of myself for how I react to things, because it is a lot more calm. And you know what this is doing? It is reserving more energy for me. So if you are an emotional spiker like I am, you got to get a grip on that. You got to start doing things to really help that, because it is taxing on your energy. Okay, a big thing, and this is something where unfortunately, I really do think that it does cost money to figure this out. Heal your gut. You have to figure out what is going on with your gut. If you are depressed, down, anxious, robbed of energy, the gut-brain connection, it is no joke. It truly, as I said, I was so low energy in my 20s. I was so depressed all of my 20s. I mean, depressed. And I had major gut issues going on. Makes sense. I had taken so many antibiotics. I started life on antibiotics. My gut never really got to flourish. And it's probably going to be a problem for the rest of my life. However, I'm not someone that's going to let that hold me back. I work at it every single day. I'm a biohacker. I'm smart. I get shit done. And I do not, I never give up. Don't ever give up with your gut. I don't care what's going on. You can do things to help it. Go see a functional medicine doctor. Go get a GI map test. If you don't have the means to do that right now, start reading about the gut. You will likely figure out things that you're like, whoa, like I didn't realize that could impact my gut. Maybe you've taken a ton of antibiotics. Maybe you are someone that eats a lot of gluten. And I'm not saying that gluten is a problem for everyone, but I think it's a problem for many. And or at least like a sensitivity. You don't have to be all or nothing, but try eliminating things here and there. Try eliminating gluten. How do you do? Try eliminating dairy. How do you do there? Again, I'm not anti-gluten. I'm not anti-dairy. But if these things are affecting your gut, then yeah, I'm anti. Get them out, or at least try the very best that you can. That doesn't cost money to do an elimination diet. You can always try that out and see. I would do one at a time because you want to figure out like what are the triggers for you. And again, it can be totally multifactorial. Another thing with gut, I really do think stress affects your gut way more than you think. So if you are like tensing all the time, if you're super stressed out, that's going to affect your gut. When your gut is impaired, it's going to affect your energy. It is all connected. The human body is so beautiful and so cool. Everything is connected. And what's really cool is when you start working on just one part of your body, it's going to affect so many other aspects of your body. So you're always getting multiple benefits. It's not just like you think you're laser focusing on one thing, but you're actually helping a lot of things. So work on your gut. You want a very healthy level of serotonin, dopamine, neurotransmitters, and you want them firing and working properly. And one way to do that is just to really support your gut. Okay. B vitamins. This is just a really quick tip. B vitamins, I look at B vitamins as super energy producing. That's another thing I will not take at night. I will not take my B vitamins at night. I will only take it during the day or morning. I think it's super energizing. In fact, a lot of people who are depleted on B vitamins, once they start taking them, they oftentimes feel a whole lot more better. That's another reason to eat your vegetables because vegetables are super high in B vitamins. All right. So these are some of my main tips. I have a bunch of tips, but I feel like I would be here for so long, and I really am just trying to keep this short and sweet and fun. I appreciate and value your time so much. So I hope that these are some good tips for you, got you thinking about some things. Thank you for your time, and I will see you next week.